Hello, my fellow speakers. This is Brian, the Speaker for the Dead, coming to you today with a new video on something I'm excited for, have been excited for a while, and will continue to be excited in the future because it won't come till December. But I know of a YouTuber that actually went and saw the first season or the first episode, and his review was really great. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I am talking about season 4 of The Expanse. This is a TV show, as you guys know from watching my channel. I'm a huge sci-fi buff, science fiction, fantasy, action, adventure, just about any kind of movie that's done well. I'm interested in, and this one is one that I'm definitely interested in. I think it's going to be great. The first 3 seasons have been absolutely fantastic, and so let's just go ahead and watch this together, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. I want to be able to kind of just tell you what I think and what I think about the first 3 seasons so far, and what really makes this a great television show. So let's go ahead and watch that together right now, and as soon as it's done, then we will come back and talk about it.
We meet in an hour of change and challenge, in a decade of hope and fear, in an age of both knowledge and ignorance. The greater our knowledge increases, the greater our ignorance unfolds. For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon and to the planets beyond. And we have vowed that we shall not see it governed by a hostile flag of conquest, but by a banner of freedom and peace and understanding. For science has no conscience of its own. Whether it will become a force for good or ill depends on man. For we do not now know what benefits await us. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind.
Okay. So that's, there you have it. Pardon me. So that's the trailer for the new season of The Expanse. So what do you think? John F. Kennedy talking in the background. I think you can definitely see, if you've been fans of the show, you can see that the graphics and special effects have been upgraded. I mean, they were good in the original. I mean, they really were. But now that they've got Amazon's money backing them up, I mean, this is going to be good. So I'm excited for this. Like I said, the first 3 seasons were just really good. Twisted and turned in a way I wasn't expecting. I was gotten into this series by my brother. He was watching, I think, an episode of the 2nd season when I was at his house one day. And it just blew me away. I mean, with one episode of being completely lost in the story, I was totally in. When I got home, I went and started watching all the previous seasons. So I cannot wait for this 4th season to come. It definitely pulls you in. It's a gritty, realistic story. It's got really interesting characters. Some of the characters you're going to identify very strongly with. Some of them you're going to be like, yep, I know crazy people just like that. No, I mean, it really has it all. when it used to be Star Trek and Star Wars and so many other great sci-fi shows. I was never personally into Doctor Who, but I know a lot of people who were and really liked Doctor Who. And I've heard with their last season, they just totally trashed that show as well, with feminism and stuff that, it doesn't need to be in our science fiction. It doesn't need to be in our entertainment period. But all the shows are doing this now. They all think, hey, let's go and mess stuff up. And this one, so far, has not done that. This is a very character-driven, it is a very diverse cast of people and characters, and it's naturally so. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel pushed. It just feels real. And it feels like there's other divisions other than, I mean, although all that stuff seems like it's gone. The race, gender, all that kind of nonsense and bigotry of the past is gone, and they've come up with all new bigotry. Earth against Mars, and the Belters against Earth, and Earth again. Everybody, all three of these factions are kind of against each other. And then in this season, I don't want to give you any spoilers if you haven't seen the first 3 seasons, but they basically, I'll tell you a little detail. They find a gate system that will allow them to explore hundreds of other worlds very easily. So instead of having to try and jump thousands of light years or travel for an extended period of time in sleeper ships to get outside the solar system, they just have to go through these gates, and then they can end up in all these different worlds. So it's opened up a huge amount of exploration, and all the old fighting and stuff like that is kind of coming to seem petty. Because why fight over Earth and Mars when there's an entire universe of colonizable planets within your reach now? So it really is kind of a fascinating opening to the 4th season, and that's kind of what you're seeing there. You're seeing them on new worlds that they've never been on before, and having to figure out what are the new threats going to be, because one of the previous threats in the other seasons turned out to be just something trying to open up this gate system. Now we don't know if the aliens that created that gate system are going to be villains in this, or if there's going to be another race that wiped those aliens out, and that will be reawakened when the Earth solar system begins to go into these new areas. But all I can tell you is it looks great. It looks fantastic, and I'm really excited. Now, one of the things I do have a little bit of a problem. I mean, it's kind of cool. It's been running through all the original first 3 seasons. Is they talk about the LDS Church, and they call them the Mormons. And full disclosure, I am LDS. I am a Mormon. We don't call ourselves Mormons, but everybody else seems to. And at first it seemed like they were kind of cool about it and mildly respectful. And then as the seasons went on, they kind of started becoming more derivative, and kind of talking down about the LDS people. They end up basically stealing a ship that was built by the Mormons. The Belters, they steal it and try and use it to stop this weapon. It doesn't succeed, and then the Belters go and salvage it and claim it as their own. So it was stolen, then salvaged, and nobody ever took into consideration the feeling of the LDS people who built it, who paid for its construction, who built it. It was going to be a generational ship. They were going to go and try and find another world. And so, I mean, it was kind of a cool story. And the ship was called the Nauvoo. It gets renamed the Behemoth afterwards. That kind of bothered me because they started talking about the Mormons in very derivative terms. And, I'm okay with people being a little bit disrespectful of my religion, because everybody has to have a little bit of a thick skin and stuff. But it just seemed like it kind of bothered me towards the 3rd season, because they seem to really kind of, these Mormons, they're so stupid. That's one of the accents, and I can't do it very well. It's of the Belters. They want to take these farming equipment, like, oh no, You mean they wanted to do something other than fight over lumps of soil? You know, they wanted to actually go and do something good and productive? Oh, those pricks. They're terrible. Anyway, it just goes into the misconceptions that spin around my faith anyway. But it was interesting to see my faith actually talked about in a major television show, even if it wasn't always in the most positive way. I thought it was interesting. I thought how it was used was interesting. The different factions. It really is well done, because it's got like a bunch of different storylines kind of running all at once. There's kind of a detective story running, and there's kind of a survival story running, and then there's kind of a war story running, and there's all these different great characters. Amazing actors and actresses doing an amazing job on a TV show. And I'm so glad that Amazon picked this up, because it definitely was worth it. It needed more seasons, and I just hope they get a chance to really flesh this out and do a good job, and that they don't fall into that trap of, oh, God, make sure we got so many black people and Hispanic people, and, you know, if they avoid that trap and trying to go with this woke nonsense that seems to be flowing through Hollywood like a plague, and they just stay with what they've been doing, they're going to have a great show, and it's just going to get more and more popular, I think. I wouldn't watch it for a long time. Like I said, I had to actually be exposed to an episode and forced to basically watch it by my brother to get me into this show. And once I was, hooked. If you like science fiction at all, you will be hooked by this show. I highly recommend you get out there, go back, watch the first 3 seasons. They're available on Amazon, and you will be hooked, and you will not be sorry. Trust me, it is very well done. Now, there's a little bit of sex stuff, and there's a little bit of swearing and stuff like that, but it's not that bad. It really isn't bad, and the story is worth it, because it's just kind of a new idea, some new things that you haven't really seen a lot of in science fiction, which is what I always liked about Star Trek, is they kind of took it in a bunch of different ways all the time. You never knew where that storyline was going to go. Looking forward to this December. Planning to do a big review on this as the episodes are coming out. I may even do live streams on it, because it definitely warrants it. It's definitely worth it. I'm hoping they don't drop the whole season all at once. I'm hoping they do it episode by episode, because when Netflix did that with Dark Crystal, it was really bad, because it took away that opportunity to gain an appreciation for the show and to get where I wanted to go with, where I was hoping it was going to go, and it kind of ruined that opportunity. Everybody was at different places, and everybody was like, well, you just don't understand. It gets better at this episode. It's like, well, yeah, but I'm not on that episode yet, so let me discover what you've already discovered. And I got a lot of flack for my review on that. So I'm hoping they don't just dump the whole series. But if they do, well, we'll review it and see if it lives up to, or is even better, or what, with what has come before from the Sci-Fi Channel, which is where it was originally started. And Sci-Fi Channel seems to be good at occasionally finding a good story and show, and then dropping it when it starts to actually do well. So, good job, Sci-Fi. Anyway, hey, get out there, have yourselves a great day. Thanks for watching this episode, and like, share, and subscribe, and we will talk to you next time. Thanks, everybody. See ya.